Well, hello, and welcome to the Cluebird. I'm your host, R. Wayne Brown. I still remember the day when, a long time ago, I tagged along with my grandfather when he met with a neighbor. They talked for quite a while, and then finally shook hands. Going home, I asked him why they shook hands since they already knew each other. He said, the neighbor agreed to sell me some land, and all we needed was our words symbolized by a simple handshake among honorable men. We always keep our word. It's an honor thing. We don't need written agreements, he said. I not only learned a valuable lesson that day, I still practice it. It was a simple moment that changed my life. I think keeping your word with a handshake or a simple nod of the head might be things for us to do ourselves and maybe teach our kids as well. I'll bet you agree. Now, later, I taught my kids to first keep their word with themselves. It made it personal by having them learn this first. I taught them to keep their word by always keeping the promises they make with themselves. I told them I know it's hard to do, but it's something they had to learn, and after a while, a great while, my kids ultimately learned to make promises to themselves they kept. When I was growing up, I practiced making and keeping promises to myself. I would privately promise to do many things, both big and small. It was a little game I'd play. I promised to never be late, for example. I promised I would do all of my homework every day. Whew. I promised I would work out 3 times per week unless I was sick. Ugh. And I'd be a good friend to my buddy next door, and on it went. My motto was, make promises and keep your word. Well, what I learned was it's easy to make promises. The hard part is honoring them, as I discovered that sometimes it's really hard keeping a promise. Starting out, how often did I promise something and then simply forgot? Or I just simply didn't do it? When I broke a promise, it disturbed me, and I really didn't understand why. Well, looking back on it, it now makes sense. Let's face it, I think we all know deep down when you first discover you can't rely on you, you start wondering, who can I trust? We all know how it feels when someone breaks a promise they made to us. We feel disappointed, empty inside, and of no merit, and we can't believe somebody let us down like that. We feel betrayed. So, breaking a promise to yourself is an act of personal betrayal. If you can't trust or rely on yourself, who can you rely on is a question we all ultimately might start asking ourselves. But you can't help but feel empty and meaningless inside. I know because I've experienced it, and you probably have as well. Not keeping your promises to yourself seems to start a cycle of self-hate. It's how people begin to hate themselves and discount their value. It's the beginning of victimhood mentality. I preach to my kids, every broken commitment you've made weakens your authority with yourself. I told them it's okay if they change their minds and decide in advance, hey, to do something different, like deciding to play basketball instead of baseball. That's fine. But simply deciding to break a promise you made to yourself, well, that was an entirely different matter. So I thought it was critical teaching my kids to honor themselves by keeping their word. I taught them early on to keep their word, forming a habit by which to live. I felt it was crucial It was a life lesson that they really needed to learn, and you probably would agree. My kids learned that keeping or honoring promises they made to themselves would build their reputation before results would, and that would determine the type of leader they would become. Self leadership on display. I told them that if they honor and esteem themselves by being trustworthy and truthful first, then it will be easy for them keeping their word with others in various settings. I stress for them to keep their word, leading themselves first, as self-leadership leads to self-mastery, which is the goal. It's all tied together, and learning this would mold them into becoming the victors they were born to become. I witnessed teaching them how to first keep their promises, develop them into successful, happy people. They learned how to honor, love, and develop their self-esteem by keeping their word with themselves first. This translated into them becoming a keep your word type of person with others, which positively affected their numerous relationships. I noticed when they promised to be the best son or daughter, well, over time, they became just that. Later on, promising to be the best dad or mom also defined them in advance, as they always kept their word, just like my grandfather. Ultimately, with my kids, just hearing them say something was all the proof I needed, knowing they would do or become just that, no matter. They learn and now live a life of always keeping their word. My kids became dependable, predictable, and are of great value to not only themselves, but to many others. And so can yours. I want to thank you for tuning in today. And as always, I hope you got something useful out of our conversation. And if you did, be sure to subscribe. Oh, hot tip. Until our next visit, I would like you to consider for a moment what hold your tongue might mean to you. Hey, don't forget to get a little exercise in for you and your Kluber.